Welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I am Jason Whitlock, your host. Happy Friday. I know many of you are excited today. It's day 2 of the NCAA tournament. We're not going to today try to keep pace with the NCAA tournament. We're going to try to get you in and out of here so that you can enjoy the NCAA tournament. But I have a big picture conversation that I want to have with you all that speaks to themes and narratives and a discussion we've been having on this show that I think is very important and insightful about professional athletes and athletic culture and just American culture in general. And so I'm going to unpack that story for you today. I think you'll enjoy it. It involves big name athletes from Shaquille O'Neal to Draymond Green to really, I think it speaks to a lot of big time, big name Black athletes throughout American culture in the last 20, 30 years. And it speaks to themes well beyond just the sports world. And so we're going to do that today. I'm going to do it today. It's just going to be me and you today. And then we're going to get you out of here so that you can go prepare and enjoy day 2 of the NCAA tournament. That's what we all want to do. So I'm going to help us get us there in a provocative conversation that, again, ties in a lot of different themes and stuff we've already talked about, from P. Diddy to hip hop to the whole 9 yards. But before I get into the topic, and it'll be, some of you may have heard of the Big U federal case. Big U is a gang member out of Los Angeles and a community leader in Los Angeles. But that's what we'll be talking about. But before I do that, I want to talk to you guys about some great advice I have to offer you, having gone through my latest home buying experience. And this was throughout all of 2023, and you guys have heard me talking about, like, the renovation of my house and how that took 13 months. And I didn't tell you about the 8 months, 10 months it took me to buy a house. And part of the reason it took that long is because I had to jump from real estate agent to real estate to real estate agent before I found the right real estate agent. A young lady named Brandy helped me find the right house. I'm very happy with my house. But I wish I knew about this business that Glenn Beck was involved in and founded and started, and it's called Real Estate Agents I Trust. It would have shortened and condensed and made my finding of a real estate agent much simpler, much more targeted, much quicker, and then I would have started that 13-month renovation project well ahead of schedule. But Real Estate Agents I Trust pairs you with a top-selling real estate agent in your area. This is someone who knows the best practices, someone who understands the crazy housing market, someone who's a team leader and a closer, someone you can trust. The name says it all. Real Estate Agents I Trust is a business that Glenn started because he realized, before I did, that one of the hardest things you can do is find a real estate agent who can cut through all the BS and get you right where you need to be. And it's someone that's truly looking out for your self-interest. They vetted these people. They know real estate agents are across the country. Go to realestateagentsitrust.com. That's realestateagentsitrust.com. Don't go through the headaches that I went through in buying my last home. Cut out a lot of the BS. Get you a real estate agent who's out for you, has your best interest, has been vetted by Glenn and his team. Do yourself a favor. Avoid the headaches that I had to deal with. Real Estate Agents I Trust. All right, let me get us into today's conversation. And I want to read to you from the Los Angeles Times. And you're going to have to be slightly patient with me, and you got to put your thinking caps on. But anyway, just be patient. I want to read to you this LA Times story. Eugene Big U Henley, a Crips leader who helped launch Nipsey Hussle's rap career. Big U was dubbed rap's godfather, has been accused of murder, kidnapping, robbery, extortion, fraud, and federal authorities announced all of this on Wednesday. Big U is a big problem. As part of Henley's purported grip on Los Angeles, his alleged victims were required to check in with Henley before arriving in the city in order to obtain protection, according to the 107-page federal complaint unveiled Wednesday. Among those Henley allegedly extorted were professional athletes, musicians, and others whose business interests were not always legitimate. Federal authorities likened Henley's Big U enterprise to a mafia-like organization that relied on his stature and longstanding association with the Rolling 60s Crips and other street gangs to intimidate businesses and individuals in Los Angeles. Authorities at a Wednesday morning news conference said Henley was a fugitive, but in the afternoon said he had turned himself in. More than a dozen others are in custody tied to the sprawling criminal case. Let me cut to the chase where we connect in some of these high-profile athletes. This is the Los Angeles Times story again. Henley also allegedly defrauded companies, donors, athletes, and celebrities, including NBA star Draymond Green and Lakers legend Shaquille O'Neal, persuading them to donate to his charities and later allegedly transferring money to his personal bank accounts. Authorities have also accused Henley of fraudulently obtaining funding from the Gang Reduction and Youth Development Program overseen by the LA Mayor's Office. The nonprofit was allotted $2.35 million from the city from July 2018 to June 2023, according to the complaint. Henley's organization is one of more than 20 involved, according to the city. I bring all this up to say, and I told you all this yesterday, years ago, I think in 2006, 2007, I got to spend a day with Big U. And this was through my association and friendship with Jim Brown. And at the time, it was part of research I was doing on a Playboy magazine story in 2006, 2007. It may have come out in 2008. I can't remember, but I wrote a big, high-profile story on America's drug war and Jim Brown's Eradicating program and its role in trying to reduce a lot of the violence and a lot of the drug war culture and prison reform, the whole nine. Jim Brown, the NFL football legend, a very dear friend of mine. And through that friendship, I got to meet and experience a lot of different people. Guys that came from really, really shady backgrounds, complicated backgrounds, criminal backgrounds. And so in 2006, 2007, somewhere around in there, I'm doing this story and I'm doing the homework and the reporting on this story I'm writing for Playboy about, you know, drug culture and prison culture and Jim Brown's solution, Eradicating. Great foundation that Jim started, I believe, in the mid-90s, where he put together a curriculum and a program that would take men that had been incarcerated and give them a curriculum, a life curriculum that would lead them down a better path. And so through Jim Brown's program and through my relationship, I would meet with and talk with and interview with and spend time with a lot of former or current gang members, guys that had done long stretches in prison. And so Jim had me sit down with Big U in South Central Los Angeles at some restaurant in the hood in one of these notorious places that is documented in film and rap music, and spent the day with Big U and getting his perspective. And this had to be because Big U was in prison. He did a 13-year stretch and was in prison until about 2004. So this is me catching him somewhat freshly out of the incarceration in the prison industrial complex. He's just been out for a couple, 2 or 3 years. But he was someone to know in South Central Los Angeles, and he was someone that was working with Jim's program. And our belief, and I'm sure Jim's belief, he was legitimately interested in helping former convicts and guys that get released from prison. And he was sincerely interested in helping guys transition out of gang culture into more mainstream culture. And so I remember this distinctly. We're going into, this is in the mid 2000s, and, you know, gangbanging was still popping off, maybe not to the level that, you know, it had been previously, but these neighborhoods in South Central Los Angeles, if you did not know the right people, could be dangerous. And I was someone back then, you know, drove a very expensive car, and just, you know, I was younger back then, and I still liked to kind of go to shady places and had shady alliances. And so meeting Big U and having his veil of protection when I moved in and out of these South Central Los Angeles neighborhoods was important. And that was my understanding, because years later, when I'm actually living in Los Angeles full time, I can remember I was doing a podcast regularly with Bobby Glanton Smith. I believe it's Bobby Glanton Smith. I know it's definitely Bobby Glanton. Another guy that worked in Jim's Eradicating program, who did a podcast, and we did it somewhere in South Central Los Angeles. And I can remember, you know, it's like, no, we good. You know, Big U knows we're here. We're not going to be bothered. You can move around, blah, blah, blah. But having spent time, I was somewhat impressed with Big U and took him as being legitimate and as being someone that, you know, why would Jim Brown be working with someone who isn't legitimate, who doesn't have sincere interest in reducing the gang violence in Los Angeles and helping guys transition out of the gang mindset and gang culture? I spent one day with Big U. Can't say that I know him well. Can't say that I know what he's been doing the past 15, 16 years since the time that I spent with him. But I can share with you what I learned from Jim Brown over the course of our friendship, over the course of my friendship with Bobby Glanton Smith, over the course of my friendship with Rockhead Johnson. Rockhead Johnson, you've probably heard me mention on this show previously, like a son to Jim Brown. And Rockhead is a guy that did a long stretch in prison, but has now been probably out of prison for a solid 25, maybe 30 years. But Rockhead runs Jim's Eradicating summer basketball program, and they've helped a lot of kids transition into college basketball, a lot of kids transition into professional basketball, and Rockhead's association with a lot of professional athletes, football and basketball. It's a long list of guys. And I don't want to bring up Rockhead, and that's Rockhead on screen, by the way, right there, that in the blue shirt with Jim, and he's like a son to Jim, probably the closest person other than Jim's wife and his own kids to Jim. But Big U had a relationship with Jim as well, and Big U was a clear power player in Los Angeles street culture. His argument is force for good. The government's argument is, no, this dude was running a mafia-like program, extorting any and everybody. I want to play you a couple of clips, or let's start with one where in 2023, Big U did an interview with a radio station in Los Angeles talking about his relationship and association with Jim Brown. Let's play that clip first.
He is my adopted father, and he has been such since I came home in 2000. I came home after reading Malcolm X's autobiography, and I was trying to find a way. And how we met was funny, because I was playing semi-pro football, with some friends of mine, and we heard that Jim Brown was having like some gang meeting or some gang talk
Right.
at his house in the hills. And I didn't want to hear none of that, of course, because I was still in the streets active. But we wanted to go see, I wanted to just meet Jim Brown.
Because he is one of the greats in the sport of football.
Definitely. And we had, American wasn't even formed yet.
Oh, wow. So we're talking way back.
Yeah, we was just, the only person up there was him and T. Rogers. That I can remember offhand was Jim, T. Rogers, and it was still meeting in the living room. They hadn't formed the pamphlets. It wasn't a name yet, for sure.
Wow.
And because Jim was trying to figure out the actual name that he wanted to go with. And right when we got ready to leave, right after that session, Jim and T. Rogers are scrambling to figure out, like, which one of y'all is Big U? Which one of y'all is Big U? And then I finally tell them I'm Big U, and they like, man, we gotta talk to you. And then I introduce him to Keith Stone, and I let him know, this is my big homeboy. This is who I love. This is who I follow. This is who I look up to. And him and Stone went from there. And when Stone passed while I was gone, and I went to go do the 13 years, Jim did a big article. And I think that was like the first introduction of American into our community. When Jim did that article, and it came out on Stone, and it was a great article Jim and authored.
So I want to give you that little bit of background and say that Jim Brown, and this is why I've always respected, loved, honored, celebrated Jim. Jim is the only super high-profile athlete that I know that was willing to get his hands really, really dirty and get down in the mud, the necessary work if you actually want to see reform, evolution, improvement in a lot of these ghetto communities. And so you have to be willing to deal with a Big U and engage with them and offer the hope that they are legitimate and sincere in their desires in terms of cleaning up their neighborhood. And most of these professional athletes, they want to cut a check, they want to open a school, they want to do things that are safe. And then they also want to run around with these guys and be able to socialize in these communities, be able to go to those strip clubs and deal with bottom line hood rats or strippers or, the loose women or whatever in the hood. But in terms of the actual work and engagement necessary to really affect change, Jim Brown's the only guy that I've seen willing to take that kind of real risk and to invite gang members, 12 at a time, 15 at a time, into his home and negotiate, hey guys, can we quit shooting each other? Could we not kill a bunch of people over this dispute or that dispute? Can we adopt some of these patriotic values? And that's why he called his program Eradicating. He tried to give these guys a different worldview. Jim, being older and wiser, is able to navigate these waters a lot better than the younger, more wealthy, dumber athletes that follow in behind him. And that's how a Shaquille O'Neal, a Draymond Green end up getting exploited. And I guarantee you that if they ever released all the names of the athletes that try to socialize in these circles and again, not do the real work, but just want to move in that lane and want to be associated with the guys in the streets, it's a long, long list. And it explains a lot about what's going on in current American sports culture, and that's where I'm going to take you next. But before I do that, I want to talk to you about something that only costs you $20. $20, and you can potentially change your health situation. You can potentially start relieving some of the inflammation and pain that is causing you to compromise the second half of your life. I'm talking about Relief Factor. Relief Factor is something I've incorporated into my life, and it's giving me a great deal of benefits, helping me reduce inflammation, and it only costs $20. Just my audience, and I don't care what level you're on economically. For $20, you can take a chance on something that will provide you pain relief and let you live a more productive, pain-free life. $20, that's it? And you're not willing to take that chance? Come on, you're going to throw away $20 at some point today or this week. You're just going to throw it away. You're going to lose it. You're going to keep moving. You won't care. You're going to waste it on something stupid. You're going to go buy a pizza when you could get yourself some Relief Factor and find out, like a lot of American men and a lot of American women have found out, that they don't have to live with all this pain and inflammation that causes other health issues. Get their $20, $19.95 Quick Start program. It's a 3-week program for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. You can get their Quick Start program and find out if Relief Factor works for you. About 70% of the people that do the Quick Start program, they return and hop on Relief Factor again and for a sustained period, because this product does work. It's a part of my health journey. If you look at me, it's clear as day. Whitlock's losing weight and he's getting healthier. And it's because I'm able to work out every single day. And part of the reason I am is because I'm taking Relief Factor and I'm dealing with a lot less pain. Here's the way you can try. $20, 1-800-4RELIEF. Call 1-800-4RELIEF. That's 1-800-4 and then relief, or visit relieffactor.com. What do you got to lose? $20? And you may get something that changes your life and improves your life. 1-800-4RELIEF.
Welcome to the Harmony Channel. I'm so honored to be joined by Jolene Bryant, the founder of the 917 Society, and she's got an amazing story. They passed out U.S. constitutions all over America. They passed out more than 1 million last year.
When I first started the project, I was newly divorced. I had no money. I was working 14-hour days in a kitchen, actually. I was a pastry chef up here at Park Manor. And I was the last person on earth that should be doing this because I had nothing, and I was just trying to survive. I'd always voted, but I never could remember. And I thought, wow, is it just me? So I thought maybe it was just me. But I always taught my kids, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. I had started Uber driving to make extra money. And so I would put little pocket constitutions in my car. And as I would drive around Nashville, I would give out constitutions to start conversations. And so I learned that nobody's read the Constitution. And they were like looking at it, what is this thing, And so that's really where I did my survey, was in Uber, driving around Nashville. It's a lot of fun. I did 2 in the morning when I was picking up people downtown. Makes me think of Dolly Parton's picking them up. I knew that we had a serious problem in this country, and I started researching about the Constitution. Of course, started reading it myself, and I started changing my ideas. All schools, they get federal funds, K through 12, all universities, and all federal employees are supposed to have a program on Constitution. And I even went to see a U.S. rep, a congressman who had office a block from where I lived. He said, nobody cares about the Constitution.
The Constitution is simply a document that we don't understand why we have them. It's a piece of paper. And that's the way it's being delivered now. It's just a document. But that's not what our founding fathers meant it to be. They meant it to be the heartbeat of America. The thing that bonds us and makes us all one, no matter who we are in this country, it makes us one nation. but it also keeps God in the forefront.
Our founders were grounded in the Bible, and everything they did, was around the Bible. And so there are actual phrases in our Constitution that come from Bible if you look at verses.
The Bible tells us about the jealous God, and He is a jealous God. He created me, He created everybody in this room. And He gave us an opportunity, because of His Son, Jesus Christ, to have even a greater freedom than the Constitution will ever give us. And if you take out the Bible, then obviously we got to get rid of the Constitution. Because the Constitution says we are what? We are free. We have freedom of choice, freedom of speech. We have the right to bear arms.
When I started the 917 Society, I wanted it to be something that honored and celebrated our Constitution. And that's why I chose 917, because that's the date. September 17th of 1787, our Constitution is signed into law.
This is what we're missing, not only in Tennessee, but in America.
You don't have to be some big, powerful, rich person backfight everybody on the planet in order to have an impact in this country.
No matter who you are, you can make a difference. You just have to try.
You don't need to print constitutions, just do it online. And I've always known, God led me to do this, and I was supposed to print them and give them to the kids.
I have 16 grandkids and 4 great-grandkids. I have over 850 historical books that I've gone through, bits and pieces, trying to find history. And I listen to my kids, my grandkids tell history. And it's not the history that I learned. That has the grace of God, and that Constitution has the grace of God.
We, Fearless and Roll Call, we're going to partner with the 917 Society and try to shine our light on them, and they're going to help shine their light on us. And we're going to make them part of the Friday night EIP event with Tucker. We're going to hand out constitutions. Fearless is trying to raise up masculine, biblically sound men to stand our ground. Let's quit apologizing for America's past.
When is the last time you read your Constitution?
All right, let me go back to my explanation and just how this whole thing with Big U, the big problem, connects to the entire sports world. We look at these athletes that all have adopted this gang mentality, this gang culture, this hip hop culture, and they seem petrified of it. You look at a clip of a Steven Jackson, played in the NBA for a long time, has a successful podcast, making good money, but puts out a video, hey, I'm checking in on O Block. And he's bragging about it. And he's standing around a bunch of teenage criminals and killers. And he's bragging, hey, some of y'all can't do this, blah, blah, blah. I'm everywhere, you're nowhere. I'm here at O Block. Why is he doing that? More than likely because he has to answer to someone like Big U. And all of these athlete tough guys that, want to mimic gang culture, prison culture, rap, hip hop culture, many of them are compromised and have someone they have to answer to, someone they have to check in with, someone they have to funnel money to in order for them to maneuver in these communities that they want to be associated with to enhance their brand, their bravado. Everybody wants to be seen as a street guy, even if they're not from the streets. And everybody, it's just like a couple of weeks ago, and I like Kendrick Perkins. I'm not trying to rip on Kendrick Perkins, and I get that Charles Barkley triggered him. But, everybody throwing around their area code and saying what kind of homeboy they are. This is all a gimmick. This is all a brand that the music industry has popularized, and it's the lane that has been carved out for black men. You're thugs and criminals, and you reflect prison culture. You get your hair braided, you get tatted up, you wear your pants hanging off your butt, and you don't talk proper English, and you're easily triggered into violence. That's the lane that Hollywood, the music industry, this demonic culture has cut out for black men, and they never tell you the full price. And the full price is you don't have your freedom. The full price is that there's somebody Big U or Suge Knight or Harry O. Or, and again, if you know who Suge Knight is, you know, he was the face of Death Row Records. Harry O is the drug dealer who was doing life, who actually financed Death Row Records, and who was actually pardoned from prison by Donald Trump. That was in 2020. At the end of Trump's first presidency, he pardoned Harry O. The reason I mention this is because the Big U's, the Harry O's, they have such control over the black community, black neighborhoods, black celebrities, that Donald Trump and his crew, in my opinion, I don't know this factually, they realize, hey man, we can't get any black entertainers, any of these rappers, any of these influencers to admit that they have no problem with us, and some of them actually like me and us. We can't do it unless a Harry O tells them that they can, unless a Big U tells them that they can. And so from a Shaquille O'Neal to a Draymond Green, who have been named and mentioned in this, and I'm telling you, if they ever get to all the names, you would be blown away. How many of these athletes that run around, they're the tough guys, they're this, they're that, they answer to a Big U. And this is the danger of adopting this gang prison culture and mainstreaming it, and everybody pledging allegiance to it, and everybody saying this is black culture. And this is why someone like myself says, I don't want to be attached to black culture. And you'll say, oh, what a sellout, what a Uncle Tom, what a coon. I don't want to be attached to black culture because the way it has been defined in America, it's the antithesis of Christian culture. I want to be Christian far more than I want to be black. Because America, and this is what they'll never talk to you about, they'll never explain to you, there's a price, an enormous price that includes your soul, your physical safety, your finances, everything. Pledging allegiance to black culture, the culture, comes at a price that is way too high. You have to go to war with Jesus. You have to go to war with what's in your best interest. You have to surrender your manhood. Shaquille O'Neal is 7'2", 320 pounds. He's one of the greatest basketball players of all time. He's worth probably close to $1 billion. He's answering the Big U. You know who I want to answer to? Jesus Christ. And trust me, there's a lot that goes along with that, denying myself. But I'd rather answer to Jesus Christ than I would Big U. And I'm going to sit here and be completely honest with you. When I met Big U, I liked him. And I don't know the details of his case. I just know I don't want to answer to any man here on earth who doesn't claim Jesus Christ as his Lord and Savior, whose primary identity isn't attached to Jesus Christ. So again, Big U, when they're writing about him in the newspaper, he's a rolling 60s Crip. The men that I will engage with and answer to and let them hold me accountable are people, if they put it in obituary or they get written up in the paper, they're going to say, yeah, this man was an evangelical Christian, he belonged to this church or that church. Those are the men I want to answer to, because we got a set of values and beliefs, and we have an authority that rules over both of us that I'm in agreement with. You think Shaq's in agreement with Big U or Harry O or whoever else he's having to answer to? And there's a Big U or a Harry O in virtually every major city in America, dominating the so-called black culture. I don't know why I can't think of the guy in Detroit that establishes a no-fly zone or a no-visit zone, but it's in all these cities. That you just change the nickname, and there's somebody. Yeah, the dude in Detroit, I think his name is Trick Trick. I don't want to have to check in with Trick Trick when I go to Detroit. And so I keep a respectful distance. And I'm not interested in disrespecting these guys, but I don't want to move in any circles. I don't want to be involved with any women that answer to them. And trust me, that's what happens to a lot of these guys. Because they have no discipline of their penis, of their smallest head, and they get involved with women who answer to Big U or to Harry O or to Trick Trick. Now, as soon as they get in some jammed up situation, that's when the vultures come out and say, hey, I can clean that up for you for a price. And now they got their hooks into you. And now they know your dirt. Now they have leverage over you for the rest of your life. This stuff is never discussed. And that's why these athletes, they all want to dress and look like these gang members and criminals. That's the price. They're surrendering their freedom as men. They're surrendering their values. They can't adhere to any biblical values that perhaps they were taught as a child or perhaps they learned while they were in prison. They can't adhere to them because there's some man that doesn't have those values who has leverage over them. This is commonplace. You want to know why so many athletes can't be authentic and express what they really believe and keep their mouth shut about Jesus Christ and keep their mouth shut about what Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or what the left actually represent? They're not free. They've bought into the culture. And so when I hear these suburban, elite, DEI Negroes that sit on TV and they want to sound hip and cool and they want to, yeah, we doing it for the culture. And this is why I was so offended and like, what is Jamel Hill and Michael Smith? What are they doing sitting on ESPN making all these references to the culture and we want to keep it real to the culture? This is a group of idiots. This is, and again, I don't mean to take an unnecessary shot at Michael Smith and to a lesser degree Jamel Hill, but it's like, do they know what they're doing? Do they know what this culture really is? Are they that detached? Have they lived out in the suburbs and away from these black communities for so long and have no real connection? They have no understanding when they start talking about they're promoting the culture, that they have no idea what they're doing and they have no idea what kind of standard and message they're sending to young people that will lead them, even in success. This man, I promise you, if the government is to be believed, or there's some man that has the kind of power, that it's not just athletes and celebrities, it's business people, it's everybody that gets trapped in their web of intimidation and influence and manipulation. And I'm watching these Ivy League, Big Ten, major PWI educated DEI Negroes promote this. And they all these people that I'm talking about, these DEI Negroes and all these elite Negroes, they all kept their distance from someone like Jim Brown because they didn't want to know what Jim Brown knew, and they didn't want to see from a ground floor level a true understanding of how demonic this culture is that has been assigned to black people. And they certainly weren't interested in doing the kind of work that Jim Brown was interested in, because Jim Brown understood if we don't give them a different worldview, if we don't give them a curriculum, if we don't put something in their minds that replaces that gang culture, these kids, these young people, these young men, they're lost forever. Where Jim Brown and I disagree, and I love Jim Brown, is you can't fix that culture without Jesus Christ. And Jim and Eradicating have a wonderful curriculum, but if not attached to the curriculum taught in that Bible, it's not going to work. These guys, and I don't want to cast aspersions, but I'm just going to keep it real. It's many of the guys I met through Jim Brown, they understood Jim's curriculum. They could repeat Jim's Eradicating curriculum, but they could not execute it. They would throw it out the window as soon as any adversity struck, as soon as they got any pushback. And it's like, I'm not going to name names here, but obviously Jim Brown was someone that's like, no, I'm good with Donald Trump. He'll meet with me. I'm willing to meet with him. We can find common ground. And if Jim Brown used to say that Barack Obama was in office for 8 years, he would never meet with me. Donald Trump's in office for 2 or 3 months, and he met with me. What am I supposed to do? I had a black president for 8 years who would not meet with me, who would not engage with me about Eradicating, who would not engage with me on ideas and solutions for these depressed communities. Donald Trump's here for a few months, and he's willing to meet with me. But even Jim Brown's own guys, because this stuff is really hard to correct. I'm not going to name names, but one of the guys really close to Jim, so afraid of the black woman that he was sleeping with, dating, he couldn't get over his Trump derangement. Because he knew that if he didn't get over his Trump derangement, he was going to get cut off at home. These are some of the weakest men on the planet. Women completely in control of them with their vagina. And I'm sorry, and this is where people hate me and find it difficult to deal with me. Because they cannot argue that I don't understand the pleasure found between a woman's legs. But that pleasure is not more powerful, not more important, is not going to get me to bow. It's not going to get me to be the antithesis of a Christian. It's not going to get me crossways with Jesus Christ. It's not worth it. But I've watched all of these weak men that can't conquer, can't figure out like, no, man, stand up to that woman or find you a new one. Find you one, and it don't matter what color she is. Find you one that understands her role in life is to be your helpmeet and to follow you as you follow God. If she's not willing to do that, let her go. Not worth it. Will have you burning in hell throughout eternity. Will have you miserable, depressed, STD-ridden, and answering to someone like Big U, and you don't even understand it. This Big U case is worth following. if you want to understand high-profile celebrities, particularly the black ones, you want to understand these black athletes, if you want to understand Diddy, because when you go down that music industry rap lane, that all runs through a big U. He ain't at the top of the food chain, but he's damn near, you know, the music industry execs, the Liar Cohens and Jimmy Iovine's, they're at the top of the music industry. And they work with the big U's, the Suge Knights, the Harry O's, to make sure that everything black is defined as criminal and prison culture. And these athletes that want to dibble and dabble in these strip clubs where the women that a big U controls, you're putting yourself in harm's way. You're going to get crossways with one of them, and they're going to accuse you of something, and you're going to have to turn to Big U to clean it up, or Harry O to clean it up, and now they got you for life. Now you're 7'2", 320 pounds, worth $1 billion, and there's allegations in here, and I like Shaquille O'Neal, I really do. I'm not trying to get crossways with Shaq, but I'm just gonna keep it real. There's allegations. Shaq had to move out of LA to Atlanta because, you know, he got tired of Big U and his group. This is the allegations. But it does get that deep, that someone 7'2", worth nearly $1 billion, has to pick up and move away because he got no discipline, no control over himself. Doesn't know how to keep a respectful distance. Because Shaq, and I liked a lot of Shaq's rap or found it harmless, but Shaq wanted to be a rapper. And so he put himself in with those people in a way that probably opened him up to some compromise. Look at this Jello Ball character, LeVar's son. This dude done tatted himself up like he's some gang member, and he's doing rap songs, dropping the N-word every other syllable, and talking about, you know, he'll drop a guy, pretending like he's some criminal. This is black culture, as defined by them. And no one wants to object to it. These athletes know it's crazy and it's insanity, and they know the price they're paying for it. They don't have the balls, they're not man enough to object to it, to tell other people, hey, don't go this route. Instead, they tell everybody, hey, come this route. It's the funnest thing on the planet. I wanted to play for y'all today, but, you know, can't do it. But it's like Jello Ball's latest video in a strip club with that female rapper called Gorilla. And it's some of the raunchiest, nastiest, filthiest, STD promoting video you'll ever see. This is the pride. This man got 2 brothers in the NBA, has had a father his whole life, but he's so attracted to this so-called black culture. He's painted himself up, painted his whole body up like he's some lifetime Rahway State Prison ex-con. It's comical. It's a death culture that's being sold to all of America. And there's a certain demographic that is most harmed by this who will not object to it. And it's all out of fear, all out of a lack of discipline, sexual discipline, all out of a lack of obedience to Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior. The stuff you're seeing on TV is an illusion. And these athletes, and I could drop virtually every athlete in the NBA and NFL, and to some degree, they're all affected by it. I'm talking about the black athletes, and particularly the ones that you see them. I don't have to name names. LeBron James, you think he's not affected by this? He wants to run around and act like he's the king, the godfather, sitting on the barbershop show with Drake and, getting in the middle of all this rap stuff. Every time you see LeBron, he's dancing to whatever the latest rap song is and promoting the latest rapper. He's owned. He's answering to somebody. Harry O, Big U, somebody. I want to play you Big U's, he taped a video, I believe Wednesday, while he was driving himself in to turn himself in to federal authorities. Seems to be headed down the same path as Suge Knight. But let's put, I want to be fair. He's saying he's innocent of all this and he's just a black man being persecuted for trying to help his community. Let's play the clip.
It's going to probably be my last video. I'm going to go turn myself in to see what's going on. They talking about I'm a fugitive. So they just raided all my houses. 600 was actually with the police when they raided my house. And he's actually got video and footage of it. So y'all know what y'all dealing with. And I just want to say this to y'all. When they raided my houses and my property, they was asking about whack. Whack, loose cannon, 600, and this internet stuff. All of y'all filed. All y'all who be sending shit around the internet, all y'all who be promoting and listening to what these saying, all y'all giving these likes and hidden likes, all y'all supporting this. All y'all guilty of this. If you had something against a black man, you should handle it with a black man in the streets. Wack said 100 times he was gonna take my contracts. He working with the FBI. The FBI went to the city 3 days in a row and told the city they didn't want nobody to give me no more money. They went to all the different celebrities and told all the different celebrities, don't give me no money, don't help me, don't do nothing for me. They going around scaring and intimidating everybody. But y'all sitting it around getting people in trouble. Like y'all don't understand what the FBI do to black men who try to help their community. I ain't been nothing but a help to our community. But I guess it is what it is. This the price of being black and trying to help somebody, trying to help your community and do what you can. You're just guilty because somebody else don't like you and they can go on the internet and do what the they want to and y'all gonna promote it. It's crazy. But I'm going to go turn myself in though. Because I ain't did nothing.
Maybe that's true. It's a possibility. But based on my life experience, based on what I've seen across this country, based on my relationship with Jim Brown and others, and because, gentlemen, I'm sharing this with you and telling you this stuff because I've had a lot of friends, and many of them were up to no good. And I, for a time, made the same mistake as these athletes that I'm talking about. Not to their degree, and because, wiser than them. But yeah, have I moved in circles where I could have got myself in a lot of trouble? Absolutely. And that's why I don't want other people making that mistake. This whole culture that they keep talking about, run as far away from it as you possibly can. It's no good. The fact that we're allowing this to be promoted as black culture, we're allowing it. And many of us are embracing and celebrating it. And you wonder why? Our reputation is no good? You wonder why people are like, hey, don't move next door to me. Anybody claiming that culture? I don't want them moving next door to me. I don't want them in my neighborhood. if I had kids, I wouldn't want their kids going to school with my kids. I want to be as far away from that demonic, devilish culture, degenerate, sexually exploited. I want to be as far away from that as possible. And that don't mean I don't like black people. What it means is I don't like people that reject Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior and are proud of it and think it defines them. And people that are comfortable. Hey, call me a Rolling 60s Crip when you write about me in the newspaper. Call me LGBTQ when you write about me in the newspaper. Call me all these things that have nothing to do with Christianity. Because when they write about me, I'm doing everything in my power. And I know I got a lot to repent from so that this will be the case. But when I die, I want in that first sentence and certainly in that first paragraph, that was a Christian evangelical. I don't want them to say black. I don't want them to say Republican. Damn sure don't want them to say that. I don't want them to say conservative. I don't want them to say former Ball State football player. I don't want them to say journalist. That was a Christian zealot. Call me that, please. Wanted to share that little life lesson with you today. Enjoy your day of basketball, day 2 of the NCAA tournament. We'll play tomorrow, and we'll see you next week.
Waiting for the countdown, coming off the breakdown, standing in line for freedom. Looking for a breakout, feeling like a standoff, nothing in life like freedom. Came in like a fighter, striking like a ladder, making all these moves for freedom. I want freedom. No negotiation, my sister, no relation. We all just wanna have freedom. Sitting on a corner, never been alone. I'm breaking my back for freedom. Blessed, we are living, get back. We are receiving, all deceiving. We all wanna be free.